What's happening, people? So we are talking about the Uncle Toms of the Black community. What do I mean by that? I mean, you have people who are labeled this Uncle Tom name, yeah, and the name arrived from this. I done my research, so I want you to have a little listen to this because we'll go on from this. Because what people got to understand now, yeah, is that Chat GP and the internet doesn't have all the answers. Because yeah, just listen to this for a second. Where is it? Right, I found it. What I do want to say is make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I appreciate you lot coming on and viewing these videos, because I get it. I dig deep with a lot of these videos, and sometimes I touch a nerve because a lot of these videos are quite personal to myself. Again, this video is going to be personal, so you're going to have an understanding. So we want to understand, where did the name originally arrive from Uncle Tom, right? So ChatGPT is going to tell us this. Hold on.
Not exactly. The term Uncle Tom originally comes from Harriet Beecher Stowe's 1852 novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin, where Uncle Tom is a kind, deeply religious enslaved man who remains loyal and self-sacrificing even in the face of cruelty. However, over time, the term evolved into a pejorative used to describe Black people who are seen as excessively subservient to white people or who betray their own race for personal gain. So, while it can sometimes be used for a Black person who looks down on other Black people, the more common meaning refers to someone who is perceived.
Yeah, we ain't going to worry about what you think is the most common, because we all know what everybody means when someone calls someone an Uncle Tom, right? There are a lot of Black people in their own Black community who look down on other Black people. Then they may be not pro-Black for whatever reason, and you don't have to be pro-Black. But looking down on your own set of people, it's not a good thing to come from. And for me to be able to make a video about it, I obviously have enough experience about it. So I'm going to talk about my own experience, right? I have an uncle who's not really, I don't really class him as my uncle, but he is an uncle, yeah? So he said to me one time, you know, if you don't start sorting out your life, you'll be at home living here forever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, that was out of the blue. I get it. Sometimes we need this level of encouragement, or for someone to talk to us who is an elder, who you might respect when it comes to the Black community, because you look up to those types of people and you take advice from those people, right? I don't look up to him. Never asked him for any advice. So I don't know where that came from. I was hoping that it came from a good place, because at the end of the day, a comment like that can be classed as quite negative when it comes to the impact of the person. So we all process feelings differently and think about things deeply or surface level, yeah, depending on what type of person you are. I'm quite a deep person, so I think about things deep. You get it? So when this person said this to me, I said, okay, thanks for that. Because I wasn't expecting that, and we don't talk like that anyway. So I just wondered, where the hell did that come from? And after processing it for a while, I thought to myself, you know what? I don't know why you would say that to me, because in my eyes, I try and do as much as I can as a young Black man. And in your eyes, when you was in your 50s, when you're in your 60s now, so you was born in the 50s and all these types of things, you didn't have half of the things that we had available. And I definitely didn't see you doing the stuff what I've done already early on in my life. Life is harder now. And also, living where I live in London. This person lives outside London. So the things they talk about and stuff like that, that's for your area. That's for where you are. And I always made sure that I had respect for this person, because again, I come from a Caribbean background where you're told to respect all your elders. You understand? And that's that. You don't backchat people. So if an older person tells you something, you just do it. But when it comes to a certain time, you're a grown adult yourself. So you do tend to question things which people say to you and ask why, because there has to be meaning towards why somebody says something towards you. But for us to find out the meaning, sometimes you gotta take off the layers of the onion, yeah, and skim that person down. Like, why would you say that? Do I ask you for advice? Do I look at you as a role model? Maybe you feel that I look towards you as a role model, which I don't. But that's one of the reasons why that could happen. On top of that, I would say that adults love to give this moment of wisdom, but not everybody is that person. Do you understand? Like I've told people before, I've grown up around Rasta men, yeah. So there's a lot of wisdom conversations which we do have, which might be about history, life, and all of that. Great. I take that from them with like a sponge, right? Some other people who I know haven't been that influential in my life, yeah, it's all surface stuff. And it's surface because it's what you've shown me for me to understand where you feel maybe about myself, or maybe you feel about our interactions. Um, when people don't ask you how you're doing or what you're getting up to or what do you do and stuff like that, that's telltale signs for me to be. 1 second. That's a telltale sign. Oops. 1 sec. Lost you there. 1 second. Right. Oh, so back. 1 second. Let me just fix this. Yeah, that for me is a super telltale sign that you're not invested within me. So my level of investment has to only be surface level with you as well. Because look, you got your own life. You're a big man. I don't require you as like a role model in my life. So I don't look at my uncle as a role model in my life. He's not a person that's really in my life in any capacity. My aunts are more in my life. My uncles, who my aunts are married to, are way more prominent in my life as role models and people who I look up to and people that I have to respect on that level. People who are further outside the family, it's very hard for you to get that same rapport or the same relationship because we don't see each other that much, right? So it's all cordial and respectful. Hi, how you doing? Blah 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 blah. Little small talk, innit? But I don't hold back in conversation if like a family member asks me, oh, what am I up to, or what do I do, or what have I been doing? I tell them, I show them, because that's them taking interest in myself. But for me to take interest in them, I can ask them what have they been up to, and blah blah blah. But I always try to do that because it's not always just about myself, innit? You want to make sure that other people are all right. And I spoke to my cousin about this and I said, like, how's your relationship with this person? And he said, oh, this person just really asks me for stuff and that's about it. And I said, yeah, man, I get this funny feeling, like as if you think that you're better than someone else. Like, I get that airy feeling, like you live in a certain area where only you can live there, no one else can't live there. You're the only Samuel Jackson Django guy in that village, and you feel like you got to perpetuate that, and you're the only person that can live up. So I kind of took it on myself to say, let me distance myself a little bit, because what I see I don't like, and I'm old enough to understand it as well, and I'm old enough to comprehend certain situations. So there was another key situation with that same said uncle, yeah. So I was in West End, and I was near Holborn, and I was walking. I saw him, and I called him. I call all my uncles by uncle first, innit? And he looked at me, walked past me, and like ignored me in public. And I was like, "No way, you didn't. You little ass. You little ass." And I was even shocked. So I was like, "Bro, I know he wears glasses, but what the fuck? Are you blind?" And I think I told my mum and I told my uncle at the time, and they first initial thing was they couldn't believe me that I said that. And I'm like, when have I ever told you that before in life? And why would I call you up and tell you that in the first place? I'm telling you that because it happened, isn't it? And he's like, oh, bro. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I was like, raw. That's crazy. But again, I can't be disrespectful after. So this situation happened after that. So after that, when this person came to my house and then told me this and told me that, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I don't answer back. Again, like I've said to you, I think an answering back sometimes will turn into an argument or a heated debate where it doesn't need to be like that. Because again, you got to respect these people, because as they're getting older, you know, people are probably getting less on the ball. All right. The things what they know, what's happening, Don, you're right. The things what they know, they don't, they're so out of the loop. And when I mean out of the loop, I know that for personal reasons, because, you know, a lot of adults who are in their 50s, 60s, they may feel like they're in the loop when it comes to cultural things and have an understanding of what the young Black person goes through. You don't, because you're not young anymore. So the hurdles which we face and the problems which are outside the door are problems which are inevitable for us to happen to when we step into society with loads of different people. It's a fact. You're going to keep on seeing people who don't understand you, don't understand your culture, don't know why you do something, and their understanding of you is maybe someone who they've seen on the internet. Oh yeah, I like KSI, or I like blah blah blah. That ain't me though, is it? But they're going to take what they see from those people and identify it with your culture. Do you get it? So not to get at that person, but that person's like, yeah, you're how no, I don't want to say that. I was going to say what their dating thing is, but it's got nothing to do with it. I just feel that those Uncle Tom people look down on other Black people who are in their race. They do it when they're at work. That's like their whole persona. And you got to understand it's some of our own, but that's someone's sister or brother that does that. But they do that for their own gratification. They do that because someone's probably put them down and they want to keep reliving the trauma to others, but they don't understand how impactful it is. Do you understand? Like, I'm a person where this life, what I live now, is chapters. It's chapters which I can see into and I can close as well at any point. But once I close them chapters for people, there's no reopening those chapters. At the end of the day, if I felt disrespected, yeah, it doesn't need to be something I wish to carry on. But when I know that people have got the capability to do it, it's the type of energy which you had to put in to do that and the ramifications of it. So everybody understands when you do stuff to people, yeah, there's always a level of consequences, right? The level of consequences for me is that I just lock people off. I'm not into we can talk about it, because through the grapevine, what people will know is that what I had told the message to my mum. I said, look, this is how this person da 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 da, and that person has got my number. Like I said to you, this person's my uncle, so they can get my phone number. They got it in their phone. I've WhatsApped them before, right? So you could just reach out to me and say, do you know what, man to man, if you felt like I was being disrespectful in that point, I'm sorry, because I wasn't. That was not my intentions. And this is what I would do, even as an uncle now. Like, I've got nieces, nephews, all of that type of thing. And if I'd done them wrong, or I felt like I was disrespecting them, and their mum told me or something, yeah, I would put them straight and be like, "Nah, I'm sorry. Do you know what? I love you, because I get it if it came across wrong, but I might have said it from a loving point of view, right? And maybe you interpreted it in the wrong way, because we don't always understand each other. That's the first thing I'm going to say to you. And I've learned that by growing up. A lot of males, how they understand loving, like with their son, with uncle situation. It's unconditional love, small or big. You understand? My uncle calls me now, straight on the phone. Yeah, what's going on, unks? Because I know that every step of the way, I've got to respect this man, because this man is like a father figure to me. That's one of the uncles that I talk about a lot, the one that does plumbing, him. That's do you get me? Jaja sent me the right type of uncle. And the others, I let play off of that same character, because that's how I define a good character, who's being good as an uncle, right? By guiding you the right way, having conversations with you, talking to you, helping you in parts of life when they can, when it comes to wisdom, but also trying to give you the right type of information. And again, having that interest within your nephew is very important, you know, like it helps with the development of them, because, you know, if I one man, yeah, can't raise a child. There are many people that play key parts in their life, and you got a good dad, right? My dad knows how to put people with the right type of people around them. So my uncle and my other uncles, they all do different stuff, different characters, right? So you want to put your son in the right position so this uncle can help him and support him, and then whatever conversations you need to come back and talk to your dad about, you could do that. And I will say this, when I was like 21, I went to an interview, yeah? I was driving a Range Rover Sport at the time. I have to tell you this because it adds context to detail, right? So I'm driving this car. I've turned up to this interview. There's a gate. So this guy's opened the gate for me, seen me. I pulled up, put my car there. Like, it was a long little walk over, walked up the stairs. Hi, what's happening? Hi, my name's Jason, blah, 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 blah. Shook his hand. His name is Jason as well. And he goes, oh, that's a nice car you got there. I said, it's not mine, it's my dad's. Because I'm not here to talk about my car. That's what type of person I am on approach to people. I get it, it's a nice car, but it's not mine. So let's stop talking about it, right? Because it brings enough attention as it is, as driving a nice car. So we got up into the interview, and he said to me, do you know what? You're quite an ambitious young man, blah, 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 blah. I said, oh, okay. Yeah, well, I think you should try and be ambitious in life, because if you're striving for things, how else are you going to try and reach those things? You got to have some goals, like type of thing. Remember, I'm 19 at the point. So he goes to me, oh, he goes, oh, how do you afford to have that car and afford to do your plumbing course? I said, sorry? This is in an interview, you know? I said, sorry, how do I afford my car while doing my plumbing course? I said, it's not mine. I've said that to you outside. I said, it's my dad's. You trying to catch me out or something? He goes, no. I just thought about it. I said, oh, okay. It's a bit of a weird question for a interview, because the interview doesn't involve the car, right? So kept on digging at it, and then he goes to me, and I said, anyway, the company who I worked for previously, they paid for my apprenticeship. So what are you talking about? Who's paying for what? What he was trying to do was piece some pictures together. But again, you can see what's on my CV in my history of jobs where I've been. So if I've worked for a job for a certain period of time, you would see that I've made money. What I do with my money is questionable to me, not to you. But this level of scrutiny in this interview made me come away and say, right, why is this guy talking to me like this for, man? I think I'd had interviews before, and it never went in that type of mannerism of conversation. I called my dad, and I was like, again, I was 19. Call my dad, and I'm like, Dad, why's this guy talking to me like this for? He's like, this is how it is, you know. Some people, they're just gonna look at you, yeah, and assume certain things about you. I said, for real? He goes, yeah. And I goes, but the guy's black. I don't understand. He goes, yeah, you get people that are like that. And he's more interested in what materialistical things he can see on you than actually dealing with the factual things. He's trying to sum you up. He's trying to say that, look, I'm the big dog here, the only black guy in this building. I run all the black jokes, and I'm the main black conductor, let's call it, in this vicinity. That's why I'm the boss. Okay, cool. And what are you afraid of? Someone who's younger, more approachable, a people's person, someone who's willing to work their way up, someone who was probably a little bit like you, but now you've turned into this other person. It made me say, wow, man. Like I said, I was 19 years old until I found this out, because it was unexpected. Because again, my pretenses of going to this interview was just to get a job. And just to get a job, to going through that level of scrutiny it's not, I want to say that it's not unheard of, because people have been through these types of things. And if you have been through anything like that, or anything like what I'm talking about right now with this Uncle Tom situation and stuff like that, definitely drop a comment in. I know that a lot of people are maybe shocked to hear that people go through these types of things, but in black communities, yeah, you get these types of things. You get people who have ostracized themselves from their own community and obviously look down on some others. It's disgusting behavior, but I've got to tell people the honest truth is that, like I said, I have someone in my family who's like that. I mean, the action hurts more than the realization, because the realization, it could be anybody. That's the truth. You know, you get a lot of people that look down on people for their race and stuff like that. And I speak about these things because I have a platform. I speak about these things because they're deep life issues. They're not just my issues. You understand? And it's okay to talk about them, because I guess our younger generation with technology nowadays, they will search it up and they'll be like, nah, that man called me an Uncle Tom, but Uncle Tom means this from a book. No, it doesn't. Culturally, it means that you look down on other black people for whatever reason, and always elevate white people in any given situation. Even if they was wrong, you would take their side. That's what those people do. It's damaging to like real G's like myself. But I've got a warrior's mindset. We're not fighting that type of battle, because I've grown up in a time where you pick your battles, right? And I'm a calculated person as well. Do I need to battle or argue with someone like that? Definitely not, because I'm not your problem. That's one. And number two, this respect thing must be still there. But respectfully, I can respect that you don't respect me right now or understand the things which I'm doing, because we've probably not had a deep sit down conversation. But let's say one day he watches this video, he's gonna know I'm talking about him, and I don't have to say his name. You get it? And if that's the way we have to make people learn in our own community, make them learn, because it's damaging to the young black males. We already have a lot of anxiety, a lot of things going on in our minds with other people who we feel look at us in ways which we don't need to be looked at, viewed at. We're just people at the end of the day. But someone's going to say, oh, you know, you don't deserve that. These other people deserve that. You know what you're talking about. You never be there. Like, you need to get yourself together. Okay. And I wanted to know why this person was so comfortable with telling me to get myself together, right? So again, I didn't run off and I done my research. And when I do my research and I find out everything what you've got is really inherited from your parents, that's why you feel like you're high and mighty. Again, when you make some things work for yourself, kudos, hats off to you. Do your work, but you got to be honest with yourself. Every man doesn't care about your ass Clark journey. Everyone don't care. So leave that to the people who want to hear and appreciate those points from you. You have to understand this words of wisdom to our younger generation. It matters at points because the mind can be weak and it can be strong. You can affect them by telling people the things which put them down. You can uplift them by telling them things which sound great and which sound like they can accomplish for themselves. No one has a magic wand and can point it at individuals and say, this person's going to make it, that person's going to make it. You can try and be the best supporter for that person, because when a lot of people are young, early ages, and the ages which people make it in life now are all different, right? And if I was to make it, and I am going to make it, and we can run this video back years later, I don't hold nothing against man, because every man a dance. People don't know what I mean by when I say that. Every man a dance. Every man is dumb until they learn, right? And where do I get that saying from? My Rasta friends again. Every man a dance until they learn, right? You have a mother. That's why you need food and you go to your mum for food until you learn how to make food yourself, right? So you're dumb until you know how to do certain things for yourself. That's my understanding about that situation. When I say every man a dance, you're born dumb, right? Until you learn stuff. That you don't become a shepherd, yeah, or a leader off the cuffs. You're following others. We all do that. So we follow males who we respect, man who we rate. We follow your mother because they're the person who's nurtured you and looked after you. And these are the people who you rate and respect in life. And if they tell you that, you know what, you see my man, if you rate him because that's your uncle and blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. You just take that on naturally. But sometimes we need to question ourselves about these people who are in these situations of influence and guidance, because guiding a young person down the wrong road or telling them things which don't make sense because you're not even tapped in, you're tapped out. What do you know about life? You know nothing about life because you're not willing to see where life is today. You're talking about where life was maybe when your day was. So much things have changed. You've been given handout after handout after handout. Do you get it? You fucked up. You covered it up. You fucked up again. Do you understand? I'm a true believer in people speaking the truth and speaking sense to the younger generation, not nonsense. A lot of men who are in that situation, or women, they're not even going to tell you when they fucked up in life. They're going to go on like it just doesn't happen to them. So you just met them at this point. Doesn't work like that, man. It doesn't work like that. And what people don't understand is that people prefer the natural, real story about how something happened. See, if you don't do this whole fucking fugazi thing where you start like, oh, this happened to me and that happened to you. Where's the proof? There's no proof. You could just be chatting a whole load of nonsense, which is the case a lot of the time. Bigging yourself up to find out that your little story just don't make no sense. It's crazy. But if you've got to put on a face to face our younger generation, maybe you're not the person who should be talking to them, because they only going to respect transparency, a clear glass, a clear medium. There's no need to do this lying, this whole oh, my life was like this, and oh, I made money like that. No, you didn't. You made money by inheriting stuff. That's it. What money did you make? Do you understand? This is what people need, is the truth. And the truth of the reality is that there's Uncle Toms in every community, for every race. You're never going to stop them. It's hard to understand these people, but these people definitely have a damaging effect on what I'm talking about, which is the young Black generation. Definitely, for sure. Because anyone feeling that they're better than anyone need a slap, need a hard slap with a belt. Because nobody is better than nobody. Everybody is the same. And I get that from my dad, who has said that to me. Everyone is the same. And even though he doesn't say a lot of words, yeah, I just understand that those few words make real sense, you know, and that's words of wisdom then, because everyone is the same. Everyone understands that, like, you know, the key to life is getting along. It's not making yourself seem like you're better than everybody else. It's the word getting along. Sometimes you have to stay in your lane for you to understand what is your lane. Your lane might not just be you putting yourself out there in a negative way. That might not be your lane, but you might have to learn that for yourself, because we all go through stuff and we try to comprehend and break it down how it happened or why it happened, because a lot of us want answers, you know. Shout out my brethren, Professor Plum. That's one of my guys. See you, my bro. You got to go through some of these things to understand them, and I've been through them, and I understand them in ways where other people might never see it like that. But I see it with my own eyes. I keep them open, and it takes time to diagnose why someone would do that or why someone's being like that. They're out of touch from society or what's going on here. And I don't expect those types of people to change within a night. I don't expect that type of person to see this video and be like, oh, Jay's talking about me. Yeah, I am talking about you. You know I'm talking about you. But it's not from a hurtful place or a hating place. You got to understand that can't be my hater. That's someone who's misunderstood their own direction and don't understand mine. But at certain points, a lot of men are not going to see eye to eye on things because it's the way they live life or the way they see things and versus someone else's. But if your majority tells you not to do that, but you're against the majority and you're just doing your own thing, fair dues, kudos, but you got to live that. You got to rock that until you're not rocking no more. That's long. I know that. Do you know what I mean? I might have felt annoyed, frustrated at the start, but once I worked it out, he's an Uncle Tom. It was fun. It's cool. I don't care about that shit. Do you get it? I don't, because I understand who you are now, innit? But if I didn't know who you are, I would be like, I'm lost. I can't work it out. Like, but when we go back to that first construction person who done that to me at that point, like I said, I had the conversation with my dad. He told me that that's how some people are, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, that's deep, man. That is fucking deep. But I just kept it moving. And I didn't think that maybe that person could be in my family. And I was like, oh, fuck, we've got one. Fucking hell. But there's a lot of males in it. So you've got to understand it's going to happen at some point, innit? But again, someone doesn't have to be like that forever. It's not like he's got a disease or anything. He's just got a problem. But your problem can't be taken up with our younger generation. Leave your problem at your door. When you come into people's house, be respectful. There is still a level of respect which I'm going to have for that individual, because again, it's not about being disrespectful or telling our younger generation, do you know what, just slap him down, slap him with a mouth box. Don't even say that. Just gracefully move on with your thing. One second, my girl keeps on calling me. Just gracefully move on with your thing, and don't take this video from reference and be like, look, it can happen to me in working life, and it can also happen to me in family life. So you're going to come across these characters here, there, and everywhere. You just identify them for who they are, and don't take it super personal, because when people don't know who they are, they don't know who to identify themselves with, and it's a case of misidentification. Yeah, that's all I got to take it down to, is a case of misidentification. They don't know who they are, and you don't know who they are. Nah, come on, man. We can't cook our older generation. Real talk. What we've got to do is we've got to enlighten them at the end of the day, because we need them as much as they need us to be able to have a healthy community, because there's a lot of stuff which they've went through, but being uneducated about today is something that we should try to educate them about and be positive about, because if you don't have those unawkward conversations with them, they don't know. Do you get it? Like, them man don't know nothing. Them lot ain't had a patty in years, don't know where to get cocoa bread from. They don't support or do the things which I might be doing for myself. So therefore, they might not see the angle which I look at life, and I might not understand the angle which they look at life, because again, they're busy being Samuel Jackson in Django, innit? Do you know what I mean? But look, that's their own business. Again, we can't always change individuals. Sometimes I've learned from my nan who passed away. This is Jehovah's Witness, yeah? Rest up my nan. All right. I've learned from my nan, who was a Jehovah's Witness, who showed me many a times that you should just love people for who they are, you know? You can't choose sometimes who they are, especially when it comes to your family and all that. And boy, if a man's a dunce, I say I'm a dunce. There's nothing more you can say about that. Yes, it's two different lanes or two different lenses, what you can see, which is their side of the story, your side of the story, how it affects our young Black generation. That's what this whole video was about, and how important it is, because those two different people could have real negative effects on my outcome of a person, of who I turn into and how I look at others. But I don't see other people like that. I'm all open for building a community, because I understand this is the internet, and sometimes we need more people that do what I do, that are willing to come on and talk about conversations which we know are difficult, you know. By calling someone an Uncle Tom who's in your own family, of course that's a difficult video to make. Am I going to regret it? Definitely not. Would I ever take it down? Hell to the no. You're crazy. This is content, baby. So don't make yourself become the starting of content. That's all I tell people, because life is content nowadays. I think people have understood this, and I think when we understand this, then we're going to tap into more things which we all think and talk about ourselves, because it's to create a better community, which I'm building on here. Big up, big up. Thank you, Don. I appreciate that. I'm not going to read out your message, but yeah, I appreciate that, of course. Yeah, so I want to round this one off with, you know, try your best. Of course, Mr. London, of course, Professor Plum, we're definitely going to put something together, man. That's my bro. And I appreciate other people from other communities, even just coming to listen to my videos, which might be a little bit off topic, but they're on topic for life at the end of the day. These are things which people go through. And I feel that people that take the time out to listen, they have a better understanding of how people are. I think that we rush about so much, we don't know how people are. And categorizing people don't make them a bad person. Do you get it? So like, nobody don't start flinging around your Uncle Tom vibe to people when it's not necessary. You've got to study them first and then find out. Go back to the internet and say, yeah, this you tick both of these boxes, you is an Uncle Tom. But just don't throw it around people. It's not about that. It's about trying to see the better in people, understanding that we've all got to get along with each other. We've all got to love each other in some type of way and bring back good energy to life. Yeah, because the younger generation, whether they be black, white, Turkish, Asian, Indian, whatever, they see all these things, innit? They've got access to all this internet just like we have, innit? So you got to be a good example to them. And I'm only trying to be a better example because there's two ways that I could have done this video. I could have just went off, just slew them. What for? There isn't nothing in that. What's that going to do? Get me more views? But that's definitely going to make my video fly around in some family WhatsApp conversation. I can't be bothered with that. What I can be bothered with is that believe in yourself and know that words are only just words sometimes when people say things to you. I'm a deep person. I do take some things to heart, but I've realized that growing is a part of my life. And for me to grow, I can't hold these things. Like, I can't hold these people accountable for what they said. Do you understand? You just gotta look past it and sometimes deal with that accordingly when you've got better time to deal with it. That wasn't something I wanted to deal with because I knew it would create a lot of friction, right? And there's too much friction sometimes in your own black community. So certain things, just allow it, deal with them at a better time. So make sure if a man come round to your barbecue, just lock off the door and tell him he can't come in. I mean, that type of vibe. But just be good to those people, man. Because again, they're not to know, innit? They don't know nothing, innit? And like I said to you before, every man a dance. And I'll leave you by saying subscribe. Appreciate you guys. And drop this video a like. Send it to someone. You know, this is a good little listen. And I appreciate all of the people that came on the live. Big yourself up, Shell, Professor Plum, Don, all of you guys that were in the chat today. Big up. And this was Uncle Tom's in Black Communities by me. You heard what I said. Yeah? Take it in, deep it, but make sure you subscribe. Let's get it.